Breaking news in our national lead. President Obama just moments ago addressing a nation very much on edge over the threat of terrorism here at home. President Obama speaking publicly about the battle to degrade and destroy ISIS, another attempt, the fourth in recent days, to reassure a skeptical public that this administration has an effective strategy to win this war on terrorism and keep this country safe. This comes hours before the commander-in-chief will yet again play the role of consoler-in-chief. Later tonight, the president will meet privately with the families of the 14 innocent people slaughtered by two terrorists in San Bernardino, the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil since September 11th. Let's get right to CNN's Jim Acosta. He's live at the White House. Jim, President Obama doing his best today to reaffirm to the American people that there is no credible threat to the U.S., but he acknowledged that lone wolf attacks are incredibly difficult to stop.
He did, Jake. President Obama tried to take a victory lap today, pointing to what he considers his biggest accomplishments of the year. But the president also acknowledged Americans are likely looking past issues like climate change and his policy toward Cuba and are just wondering what's being done to protect the homeland. Just before leaving the White House for the holidays in Hawaii, President Obama had a spring in his step and a record he wanted to tout, even as he tried to deliver a reassuring message on the war on ISIS.
Our air campaign will continue to hit ISIL harder than ever, taking out their leaders, their commanders, and their forces. We're stepping up our support for partners on the ground as they push ISIL back.
The president again insisted the nation's law enforcement community is doing all it can to prevent so-called lone wolf terror attacks in the U.S., like the one in San Bernardino, including the monitoring of messages on social media.
Our law enforcement and intelligence professionals are constantly monitoring public posts, and that is part of the visa review process.
On ISIS, the president said he will still insist on the departure of Syria's embattled leader Bashar al-Assad, but he hinted that allies of Assad could remain, a potential shift from his earlier demands that Assad must go, and one that could pave the way to a U.S.-Russian partnership to go after ISIS. The fallout from the terror attack in San Bernardino has the potential to dramatically alter Mr. Obama's final year in office, pulling his attention away from big White House priorities. From a new executive action, the president is planning on gun control to his long-sought goal of closing the terror detention center at Guantanamo.
It'll be an uphill battle.
Welcome these Republican candidates.
As for the 2016 race for the White House, the president steered clear of his feelings for Donald Trump and the rest of the Republican field, sounding confident not one of them will follow him into the Oval Office.
I think we will have a strong Democratic nominee. I think that Democratic nominee will win. I think I will have a Democratic successor.
But he also took time to praise new House Speaker Paul Ryan for shepherding a massive $1 trillion spending bill through Congress without any major threats of a government shutdown, proof the president said that both parties can work together.
I also want to give Speaker Ryan credit. So kudos to him, as well as all the leaders and appropriators who are involved in this process. Overwhelming majority of people who are incarcerated.
On his last scheduled day in Washington of 2015, the president commuted the sentences of nearly 100 mostly nonviolent drug offenders, all a part of the president's bipartisan push for criminal justice reform.
There has been sincere, serious negotiations and efforts by Democrats and Republicans to create a criminal justice system that is more fair, more even-handed, more proportionate.
The president could conceivably make one more public statement before the end of the day en route to his family vacation in Hawaii. He is scheduled to stop in San Bernardino to meet with the families of the terror attack there. The White House has said we should not expect him to deliver any remarks, but Jake, he has defied those expectations before.
All right, Jim Acosta, we'll keep an eye peeled. Thank you so much.